Hi, everyone. This is Jacqueline from She Rises Studios, and welcome to today's Light the Torch ceremony where we spotlight game changing voices, powerful missions, and transformational messages that ignite the soul. Today, we honor two bold, brilliant change makers, Melissa Aarskaug and Michelle Kline, in their revolutionary new book, Renaissance Redefining Success for Modern Mavericks. This book is more than a guide, it's a reawakening, a revolution, a mirror reflecting what it truly means to succeed as a woman today, not by the world's rules, but by our own. Hi, Melissa and Michelle. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hello.
Wonderful. Well, I'm so excited to have both of you today. And before we dive right into this, can I ask both of you to introduce a little bit about yourself and let us know what inspired you to write Renaissance?
Sure. You want to go ahead, Melissa?
Sure. My name is Melissa Aarskaug. I have been working for the last 14 years in tech and cybersecurity in the casino gaming industry. And I am a mother of four beautiful children. I have a podcast called the Executive Connect Podcast, where I inspire and elevate different voices around technology, around mindset, and leadership qualities.
Awesome. Wonderful.
And
Thank
I
you,
am
Melissa.
Michelle Kline. I am a leadership and high performance coach. I work with high achievers all the way between 11 years old to you name it. And we work on anything that has to do with elevating their mental performance, making shifts in their behavior, and really leveling up when it comes to leadership skills and creating a more inclusive world where connection reigns supreme. I have spent my entire career in the hospitality and gaming industry, redefining what teamwork looks like and what customer service really should look like and what connection can do in both the front of the house and the back of the house. I also host the WTF Walk the Floors podcast, a podcast that sheds light over the fact that we cannot lead people and have awesome operations at the same time if we're just doing it behind a desk. I'm also author of the anthology Becoming an Unstoppable Woman, all 7 volumes, with Becoming an Unstoppable Woman Entrepreneur #2 as well. And last year, I launched 360-Degree Impact, which is a guide to live, lead, and serve in a more colorful world. I have 3 kids, 2 pregnancies. The last one was twins, and my house is never quiet, never clean because they're all boys. And I'm happily married, and I just love inspiring people to action and really looking into what behaviors are causing burnout and how can we lead better teams, how can we perform better from a mental standpoint to get to achieve the goals that we're hoping to achieve.
Wonderful. Well, you both truly, surely, you're both very successful in inspiring other people and leading them in the right direction. But what inspired both of you to write Renaissance specifically for, as you mentioned, for modern mavericks? What does that mean?
Yeah, I think, earlier in my career, I call it armor. I wore a lot of armor very young in my career. I had to perform this way. Leaders had to know everything. There was a lot of struggle with imposter syndrome and mindset and overworking and the reason behind the book is to unpack the why behind why we're wearing the armor and show up authentically as ourselves. And all of our journeys are very different. I started my career in banking. I've worked as a civil engineer. You'll read this throughout the book. I applied for the wrong job, found my way into casino gaming. I had a lot of struggles and triumphs along the way, and it's led me to where I am today. And so the reason behind the book is to break free from what we're told to be, do, or have. I know I was told different things, not just from the people around me, but also society and telling me I should do this. I need to do this by that age. And all of us have a different time on when we're going to get where we need to get. And there's no right or wrong, timeline. I had my son late in life. And a lot of times people were telling me I'm too old to have a child. And, I'm going to have a geriatric pregnancy, and all of these kind of nonsense, negative perspectives that are just not true. And so the point of the book, and it's not just for women, I think it's also for anybody, to think about, why do you want to be a CEO? Why do you want to be a mom? Why do you want to move here? Why do you want to do this? And really get to the soul work, the heart work behind why you're doing what you're doing. So we all have a career, and that's our head part of our body. We're going and achieving whatever we're achieving. The heart work is a super, super important piece of the head work. And when the two of them are working together, truly, I believe you can have it all, maybe not at the same time, just as you progress and work through it, and really align with the heart part of the why you're doing what you're doing.
Both Melissa and I have been in our industries for a very long time. And along the way, we did a lot of philanthropic work, specifically with women. And, we've known each other for 16 years, maybe more.
Yeah, I think more than that.
And we always would come back to the same thing. Like, why are women in our circles feeling this way? Like, what's going on? Why do you feel like, you're checking boxes, going through the motions? And I think that our intention with the book was really to help people realize and recognize you don't have to check boxes. You make the boxes. So sure, check the boxes, but the boxes that you want to create, the boxes you want to check, as opposed to always being tied to whatever society told us that we had to achieve.
Right. That's true. And that's very interesting, because a lot of the women are, and I think it comes from expectations from people as well, that we need to fit into a specific box, that by this time you should have already been married, start getting kids, and there's that pressure. And it's nice that you ladies are expressing to us that no, it doesn't have to be in any specific time. It has to be you. Now, your book opens up with a powerful quote from Audre Lorde. Can you talk us about why did you choose particularly this quote to open the book, and how does it set the tone for the overall message of the book?
Yeah, and I think the quotes, there's two ways to look at it. The way I look at it, we all have that judgmental brain where we see someone and we make the snap decision. Oh, she's blonde, or she's got pink lipstick, she can't work as an engineer, or whatever the comments that are made. And I think that those are just nonsense, right? I think a lot of times, most of my life I'm an engineer brain person, but I'm a social person. And a lot of times I hear people make snap decisions about people just in 5 seconds of meeting them. And I find a lot of times they're not necessarily correct. And so the point of the quote is really to break free from what we're called. She's blonde, she's young, she's not smart enough, she's not this enough, or he's not that enough. And really show up the way and own that. Yes, I'm blonde. Yes, I like to wear lipstick. Yes, I'm young for the role, and to be okay with that. I know for me, when people would say you're too young for the job, I'd be like, yeah, they're right. I am really young, and maybe I don't know it. So we go through that part of our brain where we question us, and that goes back to what I was saying at the beginning. We then start to armor up. Right? We start to armor up, go in the meetings. Okay, don't have an opinion, Melissa. Be quiet. Don't say anything because you're really young. You need to make sure you listen to the senior leaders. And so the point of the quote is to break free from the shackles of what the world is telling you need to do, be, have, by, when. and really just show up the way you're feeling. So if you're in a job and you're unhappy and you're getting sick, you're probably not in the right place. Those are symptoms to unpack and to do soul work to figure out the why behind why you're doing what you're doing.
I think that an added layer to everything Melissa just said is also the fact that everything that we do, we intentionally do it for the collective, right? We know that there are other women that go through the same things that we do. We know there are men, executives, or, men overall that go through these same type of challenges and the fear of maybe taking that step forward to be able to move upward. And the quote is in the spirit of collaboration. We want to make sure that, you feel like you're not alone in this. But then on the other hand, how do we lift each other up? How do we work together to continue to create the awareness by everyone using their voice in an educated way, in an articulated way, and in a way that comes from a place of strength and not from a place of a pity party?
That's true. And, and this just opens up success to a lot more younger women, a lot more capable women, and not just wait, people would say you're still too young, you don't have to do this, you just sit there and listen, wait until you have reached a certain level of experience and then you can be successful. We don't have to be in that. Now, both of you talked about in this book about how many women achieve success, they are already there, but they feel misaligned, or that they're not fulfilled. They feel unfulfilled at all. What do you think contributes to this disconnect?
That's a great question, Jacqueline. In my opinion, and I think Melissa has a very similar point of view, it has to do with exactly what she said before. Like, we're trying to achieve it all at once. And when we're able to stop and pause and reflect, what adds value right now to the goal I have in front of me, that's when things really come into alignment, right? When one priority is not competing over the next, and when you find those pockets of time that will allow you to go after this goal and at the same time go after this goal, you're going to do it differently. You're going to use different tools. You're going to adapt differently, but you're still going to get there.
And I think we have to do our own work, right? We have to do the work. And I think it's easy to see, with social media and other people that, we magically just got here. The two of us have been through a lot, and we've done the work, and we've turned our struggle into our strengths. And then we stepped back, reassessed, and moved forward. We didn't, I'm a track runner, so I'll correlate it to track. A lot of times I have a lot of tabs open in my brain all day, but I shut some of them down so I can focus on others while I'm integrating between those two kind of pieces. So I'll pass the baton to my husband to run the kids to school. And then I turn that tab down and I get into my work day, and then I turn that tab down for other things that are going on. But I'm very, very aligned on what I'm doing. I would say younger in my career, I was on the hamster wheel constantly. I was running, I got to do this. And by the time I need to use the restroom, on the way to the restroom, I need to get the laundry in the dryer. And on the way to the restroom, I could come back and collect all the dishes and put them in the sink. So I was constantly on that wheel. And it didn't matter if the dishes were done at that moment, or what mattered is what's the most important at that time of my life. And so when you lead yourself versus your laundry and your dishes and everything else leading you, you have more time, more energy, and more focus to get things done that really matter to you, that will move the needle in your life.
That's awesome. Focus on what really matters. Everything else will fall into place.
For sure.
Right? Yeah. Great. Now, you describe this book as a reawakening and a revolution. What do you hope readers would walk away with this after reading it?
I think a lot of times I didn't realize what I was doing until my biggest allies, a lot of them were men. And a lot of them have been cheering for this book behind the scenes. And I'm going to get a copy. You got to sign it. It wasn't until they brought things forward to me. And so for all you men that have brought questions forward to me or asked me, like, why aren't you telling people you're having a baby? Why aren't you telling people this? And why aren't you telling? It was them that forced me to step back and reassess myself and really listen to the advice. Now, not all advice is great advice. I appreciate all of it. Some of the worst advice I got were from people that I had worked for or had been a very senior person in my life. And some of the best advice came from people that were sidelines or somebody I met on a plane or who else. So we decide the information we get, if it's good information and bad information, and what we're going to do with it. And so the point of the reawakening is that we don't often know we're on that hamster wheel until either symptoms pop up. We have burnout, our health suffers, our relationship suffers, we don't sleep. There's a lot of symptoms. And so this book is we hope that people will step back and take time to read it and think about what they want for their life. What is the most important thing for them, not for their children, their husband, their jobs, for them, because everything else can get aligned after that. It doesn't mean that the kids aren't important or your husband's. It just means you have to take care of you first so you can help everyone else.
And when you start leading yourself differently, you're going to see it reflected in everything else in your life. That's a reality. The other part about this reawakening that we call is the fact that it doesn't matter where you're at in life, in your career, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you're able to pause, reflect, and then change your behavior from there. Change your choices from there, right? The choices and the behavior are what is causing the burnout, for example, right? The burnout is the outcome. So there is no special time in your life, right? There is no such thing. Whenever you feel like you are caught in that hamster wheel, that's probably a red flag for you, right? And for many people, it comes in the way of, I don't know, loss in the family or major transition in your life or in career, whatever that looks like. Some people hit 40s and they have a heart attack, and that's life saying, hey, you need to slow down.
Yes.
The point here is, or the point we're trying to make with this book is, it's time to stop, right? It's time to stop, for you to take the reins and for you to figure out what works for you. Because at the end of the day, if you do it from a place of strength, from a place where your entire heart and passion is in it, everything else will follow suit. You just need to trust the process.
That's wonderful. I love that. Take a pause, step back, and take back the reins. That's wonderful. If you could leave women watching today with one truth, one reminder, what would that be?
I would say you're not just this person. You're not just this, whatever that is, fill in the blanks. So whatever it is you're telling yourself, oh, but I am just, no, I'm just a wife, or I'm just a mom, or I'm just the director. You're not just, you're a big piece of this puzzle that we call life, that we call world, that we call community, whatever that is. You're not just. So stop and think, what makes you unique? And take that with you and just run with it.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and it is tough it is tough. None of careers, family, life, there's going to be a lot of peaks and a lot of valleys and a lot of struggle. The thing I'll leave is, find your bliss among the difficult pieces of your life and wake up and find happiness every day. When you're happy and when you're blissful, everything comes into place. Everything shows up. Oftentimes I'll be late for something and I'm not stressed out, strung out. I just say, I'm going to get there. This situation has happened. I'm not going to be stressed about it. And all of a sudden, everybody gets out of the fast lane, and I head through all the traffic. And those kind of things are always available when you're happy and you're blissful, because you're more aligned with your who, versus, like Michele was saying, the victim side or the blaming side. This happened in my life. My partner is this, my children that, my coworkers are doing this. All of that you cannot control. What you can control is your bliss through those difficult things you're going to go through, and reset yourself, because you're either taking that, you need to elevate yourself above all that. And I'm going to call it drama, negativity, whatever, low vibration energy, I guess, and elevate above all of that.
That's awesome. I love both what you've reminded us today. Thank you so much for lining the way for, women who are ready to reclaim their voice, their truth, and their vision of success. And to everyone watching today, if you're done shrinking, done performing, and more than ready to lead from a place of alignment and wholeness, this is your moment. Grab your copy of Renaissance Redefining Success for Modern Mavericks, now available on Amazon. Again, thank you so much, Michele. Thank you, Melissa. And I hope to see you again soon.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. Thank you, everyone who's out there supporting this initiative. We know that it's not going to disappoint. We know that it's going to spark something in your brain. And there's a lot of nuggets in there. And there are some areas where you can actually do the work while you're reading the book. So we hope you love it.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.